It's 11 o'clock. It means it's time for tomorrow's newspapers tonight. Join us over the next hour to find out. We have the best buddies, Starmer and Trump. What's been going on between that little love in there? We have Andrew Tate standing for Prime Minister. And why is it so expensive to be single? I'm Josh Howie. Tonight, I'm joined by Cresta Wetton and Jonathan Cogan to take you through Thursday's top stories. This is Headliners. But before tomorrow's news, let's go to tonight's headlines with Sophia Wensler.
Josh, thank you. Your headlines at 11 o'clock. Donald Trump has said he's hopeful for a Ukraine peace deal and a UK trade deal after talks with Sir Keir Starmer at the White House. During a news conference this evening, the US president called Sir Keir Starmer a tough negotiator before nodding to the special relationship between the two countries. Mr. Trump added that the meetings between him and Mr. Starmer were productive, while on peace in Ukraine, he said it will be fairly soon or it won't be at all. Meanwhile, Starmer thanked the US president for his commitment to achieving peace in Ukraine and said the UK-US relationship matters more than ever. Earlier, Donald Trump said he will visit the UK in the near future after Sir Keir Starmer gave him a historic invitation from the King. Back in the UK, Reform UK have revealed an Olympic gold medalist will run as a mayoral candidate. Nigel Farage has tonight announced that Olympic boxer Luke Campbell will be Reform's candidate to become the first elected mayor for Hull and East Yorkshire. The Reform UK leader made the announcement at the party's regional conference this evening, saying he's a knockout candidate. In other news, the BBC has apologised for serious flaws in the making of a Gaza documentary starring a Hamas chief's son. The broadcaster said it has no plans to broadcast Gaza, How to Survive a War Zone again in its current form or return it to iPlayer. The BBC Director General has asked for an independent review into the making of the documentary to be accelerated. And Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan have arrived in Florida after Romania lifted their travel ban, with Donald Trump saying he knows nothing about that. The controversial brothers also say some of their seized assets have now been returned to them by Romanian authorities, including properties and vehicles. The controversial influencer and his sibling are facing a series of criminal charges in the country, which they both strongly deny. Speaking outside the US airport, Andrew Tate said he and his brother are largely misunderstood. Those are the latest GB News headlines. Now it's time for Headliners.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Thanks for joining us. This is Headliners, where we give you the best of tomorrow's newspapers with the best of today's comedians. First things first, we're going to have a look at the front pages. Daily Mail, what an unlikely bromance. The Daily Express, Trump backs great trade deal for Brexit Britain. Telegraph, Trump backs Starmer on Chagos. So, bit of a theme there. Hello, Cresta.
Hello.
Lovely to see you. Haven't seen you for a while. That's a joke, because we see each other every day, forever and ever.
We do.
But
I'm
in a
here.
professional capacity. I don't want to talk about you, Jonathan. It's about Cresta and I sharing a moment.
All right, get a room, guys.
Cresta, let's go straight to the Mail.
The Mail, what an unlikely bromance. It's not about you and Jonathan, it's about Trump and Starmer. A lot of people are saying that their meeting today went very well. I think that's a bit strong, personally.
Really?
But,
I think it couldn't have gone any better.
Well, no, and yes, exactly, that's correct. It couldn't have gone any better.
Yeah. I mean, Starmer got everything he wanted, didn't he, Jonathan?
I think he pretty much did. I think he came off surprisingly well. I'm a bit of a body language.
I don't know if I go that far.
No, you don't think he was good?
I thought it was totally cringe.
Yeah, but for him, that's great. That's
that was the best.
Kia, yeah.
He didn't punch Donald Trump in the face or anything.
No, he doesn't have the
To be fair, he did
testosterone for
stick
that.
to being himself, didn't he? I think that's fair. He didn't,
Really?
you know,
Don't
turn up
want
in
to come
aviator
across-
shades or... no, I mean, that's exactly what I would expect.
Okay,
that
you
kind
thought he
of
was going to come in
awkward-
American. Hey, Donald, how are you today?
I didn't know what to expect.
He could have zhuzhed it up a little bit, but no, he didn't. I was watching a body language expert talk about the differences, and Starmer was all very kind of like cross, like tuck it in, and Trump was all, you know, man spreading
Relax,
across.
yeah.
I think that basically shows where England and America are at as nations.
Yes, the
Yeah,
sort of
very
demure.
much.
But it was when he offered, he was like, it was like talking to children. Like, I had like Blue Peter or something. Right now, we have a certificate for you. And this is a very special certificate. Only one of these was ever made. And you get to come and see the king again. It was like we sort of...
Trump's like, we'll put it right on the fridge, don't worry.
Yeah.
No, but I don't think I think he was pleased with it. He put it on
sure.
the fridge and he pointed at it on the fridge and he said no one
shows
else
all
has
of his
got one of
friends.
those.
Oh, he loves it. He's going to be
did
the
love
only
it.
person ever to get 2 royal state visits. Fair enough.
That's
And,
not
bad. There you
no, I'd be look good. But so in terms of down to the nuts and bolts of it, one thing is this Chagos plan, and Trump's kind of gone, yeah, fine.
Yeah,
it's just like,
exactly.
in the UK, it's been like front page for
That's
weeks.
small fries for
And
him.
Trump's just like, yeah, if we get the base for 150 years, that's fine. I'll be dead.
Exactly.
And then, but the big thing, and no one was really talking about this in any of the articles over the last few days, is that Trump is the free trade deal.
Yeah.
Now, everyone just assumed that was just out of the
Yeah.
picture, and now it's like it's happening. It looks like.
I intuitively didn't think we were going to get tariffs. I just feel like he likes us a bit too much. You know, like the teacher
yeah.
kind of like winks at you as you're getting changed to PE. Yeah, I feel like he...
I think that's exactly the same.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think-
No, they like us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, well, why
cool.
not? And we just got it, and I think Keir Starmer, good for him. He went
I thought
out
he was
there.
a tough negotiator. That was surprising.
Yeah, he was
I
like,
think
He's like, you guys, he really works for you guys. You know what? Well, Keir Starmer gets a lot of criticism.
He
I
could really
don't think
take a
he ever
pounding.
gets criticised for being lazy.
Okay.
You can imagine he's
No,
in
he
the office,
doesn't.
he's doing the reading, he's doing the work. Now, you might disagree with many of his choices. I certainly have, but it's never going to be like, oh yeah, he's just calling it in.
Well, there was going to be that finishing early on Friday thing, but that didn't last long, did it?
Yeah, but that was literally just so he could have dinner with his family. I think going to have
Slacker.
dinner with your family one evening a
his
week.
family has vetoed
Yes.
that. They don't
It's
want
totally fine. So, yeah, Daily Express pretty much has exactly the same cover. The same as the Daily Mail. You've got Gene Hackman at the top, which we're going to talk about in a fear minutes. And then they've just the same thing. They've got a sort of handshake and... Oh, but if we wanted to do something special about it, you could talk about, Jonathan, Keir Starmer is grabbing Donald Trump's arm with his other hand.
It's like a jiu-jitsu throw.
Oh,
Sort of bringing him in.
Yeah, come on, Keir, consent.
That is all the body language stuff. Like, I remember my great aunt, whenever we go out for dinner, her body language is very obvious. If someone foreign walked by, she would move her handbag. It's just classic body language stuff.
She is such a racist.
I know, of course, but God bless her.
Well, look, let's go to the Daily Telegraph then, because they've got actual other news, Cressida.
Loads of news.
Boring.
Trump backs Starmer on Chagos. We've talked about that. And what's he handing him there? His special certificate.
Yeah, the certificate is giving him the... Look, here it is, one of a kind. It's very, very
That's
special.
asking to be mean. That is
Excellent.
asking to be like...
Yeah.
Love
distinct.
it. We've got some other news. Prisoners could have to earn their freedom in new plan. So that's interesting. I thought the prisons were full, but now you have to do the crystal maze to get out or
The
something.
ultimate escape room.
Yeah, exactly. You have to do some education or training, which sounds like a good idea.
Does sound like a good idea.
Rehabilitation, that hopefully is part of the point. Or is it punishment? I don't know. Why do we do it again? What's the...
We're not sure. That's
Okay.
an
Yeah.
ongoing
But the idea
debate,
is that you
actually.
basically get out 40% of your sentences just kind of gets cut off automatically anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the idea is they'd have to actually earn it, which makes sense because to stop people committing crimes when they come out is about, education or giving them some kind of career, possibly cooking, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So the idea that you earn your freedom, I think that sounds very civilised.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
When I was in juvie, I did a lot of crosswords, but that was more just kill the time. But I wasn't very good with words until that point.
OK, yeah, well, that's what I said. Now here you are. So there's hope for anybody. There's another story here. BBC admits to serious flaws over the Gaza film. So
I did see some nut job protesting outside the BBC.
Yeah, so let's do... this is interesting. It's more than interesting. This is something that is quite personal, but this documentary came out a week ago. Instantly, David Collier, who is an investigative journalist who basically works at home and does it himself, And he found all these inconsistencies. He found that the protagonist, who was the narrator, actually was a son of an Hamas leader.
I think he said it took him 3 hours, didn't he? On his own.
Yeah, so we talked about some Free Speech Nation. The BBC have gone away and had a meeting, and they have released... And by the way, in the last few days, we've had 500 media personalities, including Gary Lineker, saying that holding this film, not showing it, is racist, and they've demanded that the BBC show it. And the BBC today, they had a meeting and they went, yeah, we messed up big time. So first of all,
wrong.
Well, it just shows, first of all, those 500 people are idiots. Who don't know what they're talking about. The idea that they were arguing for this propaganda, this terrorist propaganda to be shown to the British public, that, by the way, the British public are paid for.
Yeah.
So these 500 people are just idiots, as far as
I
I'm
have heard a smattering of, oh, what about free speech? It's not a free speech issue, is it? It's not appropriate for the taxpayer to pay for that. It's not that you couldn't go out and make your own independent film.
And also for it to be presented as truth. This is coming.
Exactly.
The whole
propaganda.
point is meant to be impartial.
Yeah.
This is it. The BBC admitting that it's essentially propaganda. They're doing a proper investigation into it. My personal feelings are this isn't enough. This wasn't even the only incident that week. It's constant. It has been going on for decades. That's a separate issue. Follow me on Twitter. But it is damning for the BBC. And it's also, like I said, damning for those people who sort of seemingly signed this letter without actually looking into this documentary at all. So it's great.
Yeah,
it's a great day.
But if any of them change their mind, you'll be very gracious about it and welcome them to your side of the debate.
Well, you know, I'm
Excellent.
very reasonable on this particular matter here.
Also here we have Whatever Happened to the Naughty Step. We actually have one and Lewis is on it right now. So
I know, how much longer has he got?
2.5 days and he's back on.
We haven't got a big enough naughty step for headliners.
The show is one big naughty step.
Let's have a look at some more front pages then. The Guardian. Trump. US workers in Ukraine would be a security backstop. The Metro, mystery over Hackman deaths. And the Star, Peppa Piglet, Mummy Pig, preggers, and the scan proves it. So, yeah, The Guardian obviously going with a different photo there. They've got Trump putting his thumbs up and Starmer looking like he's done very well for himself.
He looks pretty pleased.
Yeah, he does.
He looks like he's meeting a pop star.
Yeah, he's just
suppose
like,
he is.
He's like, oh my God, it's Paul McCartney. That's who I could bring out. Beastie Boys.
Beastie Boys. No, but that's still 30 years old.
Yeah. What else? This is good. Jailed Kurdish leader calls on PKK to disarm. This is actually kind of a big deal.
Yeah, there was quite a terrible shooting several months ago, wasn't there, about these guys?
Well, this has been an ongoing war. The Turkey has been bombing the Kurdish for years now, and it doesn't get any publicity, worldwide publicity about it. But the idea that there could be some kind of peace is obviously...
Get Donald to pop over. 24 hours.
You know what? It could be that they're looking and going, you know what? Let's just...
Yeah,
we don't want him taking all our minerals.
If Trump unites the entire globe in peace, that would piss off so many people. That would really... excuse my language there.
Jonathan, you are a producer. You know the rules. I apologise for the use
I haven't slept in 3 days.
Language. That is not an excuse.
We'll fix it in post.
So, let's talk about this on the Metro. Mystery of Hackman deaths. Now, Gene Hackman, one of the greatest actors, I would argue, ever. This is a real tragedy.
It's bizarre, isn't it? Bathroom covered in pills.
What's that? Oh, is this what this is?
Yeah, so in their property, there's this container of pills that's all over the bathroom floor, and they're quite... The bodies are quite decomposed at this point.
OK.
Found by, I think, were they some gardeners or handymen, something like that?
I was under the impression that this was a gas... Yes, something like that, because the dog was also...
Great point. Unlikely to take the pills.
Well,
very good.
You know, but anyway, we don't know we know very little.
Right.
The point of it is, obviously, a tragedy. He's 95 years old.
Yeah.
And he retired a few years ago, but his wife was 63. And
you dog.
It's just sad.
It's really sad.
Very sad.
He's a legend.
Yeah, absolute legend.
I think we're going to hear more about this, aren't we, as it progresses?
Yes. I don't know, but it just makes me want to go and rewatch every...
What's your favourite?
Superman.
OK.
No, I can't do that. Conversation. Maybe.
Not seen that.
What about you?
Blazing Saddles?
What?
Oh, did I get it wrong?
What did you say?
Blazing Saddles?
Blazing Saddles?
Is he not in it?
No, he's not in Blazing Saddles.
Who is? Who's the guy?
Gene Hackman. No, sorry, Gene Wilder, you idiot. Oh, my gosh. That's the closest I've ever got to swearing.
That's the worst thing I've ever said on television.
4 years.
It was a joke. Let's go with that.
Was it a joke? Right.
No, I don't know.
Let's do this final story. Daily Star.
Who's Gene Simmons?
Jonathan.
OK, Peppa Piglet, Mummy Pig preggers and scam proves it. So this is a very, very interesting story if you're interested in fictional pigs. So parents everywhere be very afraid Peppa Pig is getting a sister. So Peppa Pig is a show that my younger nephew...
We don't need to explain what Peppa Pig is.
Well, no, he wasn't allowed to watch it because apparently it makes kids nag. Apparently it's a really naggy
Also,
show.
You're Jewish, so we're not allowed to...
Not kosher.
Yeah,
don't
kosher.
tell them.
OK.
I'm unpopular as it
She's
is.
still alive. She's not in a sandwich, so is it still no pigs?
That's a good point. Could you have a pig in your house?
Good
who wasn't
question
dead?
there. Yeah, so we don't know who the dad is. Hopefully that's going to be like the big twist reveal. It's going to come out like half rabbit, half pig.
But we don't know who the dad is.
You don't think she's been porked? Do you think it might be something else?
Oh, hello, do a circuit. Come on, do a little run around.
Not.
Do a run around the
Well,
table.
look, we can see the ultra scan here. I would say that looks, in my medical opinion, like a baby Peppa Pig.
Baby Peppa Pig. It's going to be... It's interesting because Peppa Pig hasn't... She's still 4 years old, and her brother's George is 2.
Puberty blockers.
Oh, you think it's going to come out as non-binary in the next season or something like that? But yeah, so there's been no aging. So is this going to make Peppa Pig now 5? Is there going to be some? Is time going to be moving on?
That's a very
in
good
this
question.
world?
Or this baby could just stay a baby, like Stewie and Maggie and other baby cartoons before them.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a £1 billion industry. So now it's going to be £1 billion and £2.
Can't believe I thought Gene Hackman was Gene Wilder.
Mate, we're going to go for an interval now where I'm going to scream at you for 3 minutes.
When do we start filming?
OK, that's the front page is done up. Coming up, we could see a by-election as early as May. What does that mean for reform? And what have the Brits beaten their own record at? This is the Headliners, only on GB News.
If you want your news to be straight talking,
This is a nightmare for the Conservatives again.
down to earth,
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
and most importantly, honest,
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get the book thrown at them.
then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast. Every day from 6 a.m.
Now, we're going to introduce you to a friend of mine, friend of the programme now, and that is Katie Nicholl. Katie is the role correspondent at Vanity Fair, and she has got a tale to tell. And this tale began, well, here we are on Valentine's Day, Katie, and this was 2 years ago, and this was a horror story we're talking about.
Yeah, it was a bit of a horror story. It wasn't the Valentine's I'd wanted or expected. I got a call from the Royal Free. I'd been in for an MRI earlier on in the January and for my liver. And I got a call saying that I had cholangiocarcinoma, which I had no idea what it was.
I have no idea what it is.
I know. Well, Dora, who is my surgeon,
who... Say, no, this is your surgeon. It's a very important lady, and this is Dr. Dora. And you really did do the explorer bit. You had to go in there and cut out this cancer.
Yeah, correct.
But tell us what sort of cancer this is.
So this is a primary liver cancer that arises from the bile duct of the liver. So it's not a metastatic coming from elsewhere, it's a primary. It doesn't arise from the hepatocyte itself. I mean, imagine that the liver is like a red thing, and inside it growing something like a green tree with a lot of branches. So within those branches, we have the epithelial cells, the bile duct cells, and this is where this cancer comes from.
I felt that I was possibly perimenopausal. I was getting these heart palpitations. I was getting really, really bad sense of indigestion, but nothing that was making me overly concerned. But I was with a girlfriend and she just said, "Are you all right?" And I burst into tears. I said, "You know, I just don't feel myself." And she said, "Just go see your GP." And I did.
GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
He was in the French Connection! OK, welcome back to Headlines. Kicking off with Friday's Suncrester, and Labour have successfully trialled a new form of constituent feedback, punching him in the face.
That's the wrong way round. The feedback's supposed to go to the MP. Anyway, shamed Labour MP Mike Amesbury freed from jail after winning appeal against sentence for punching constituent. He's been allowed to go home. I mean, he's been found guilty of what he did. Obviously, there's CCTV footage that's pretty clear and, by the way, completely contradictory to what he said happened. So that's embarrassing. He's been given a 10 weeks suspended sentence, suspended for 2 years. He's not allowed to have a drink for a year, and that's going to be monitored. 200 hours of unpaid work and anger management, which is the most painful bit, isn't it, if you're the sort of person that goes around punching people, I imagine. But this is outrageous, because we've seen people in recent months being jailed for word crimes as opposed to actually punching somebody. And, by the way, he was an MP.
Yeah, it's 3 days he was in jail. Now, this is the bit I don't get, so maybe you two can explain this, because I've read this article twice. I don't understand this bit. It says here, this is what the judge said. He said, because of the important change over the last 3 or 4 days, we conclude that you are a realistic prospect of rehabilitation. Now, can you tell me what this...
I can tell you exactly what that means. It means as opposed to the rest of the public who are absolutely hopeless cases and who can't rehabilitate. I mean, what was the important... What happened in the last 3 or 4 days that suddenly means that he's not going to rehabilitate? He can rehabilitate.
3 days, though. What can you... I mean, was he just a really, really well-behaved guy that tidied up the whole prison? I don't understand what you could do. I mean... Let's say, look, he's an MP, he knows people, he got out. Also, what I do like about the story is the guy he punched was somebody he knew from school, so it was an old beef.
Well, this is it. I mean, if his defence had been, look, you did... When he was 12, this guy was so annoying. Or he bullied me when he was 12 or something like that. That could have been maybe...
There's really no explanation, is there? We don't really get a motive in this story.
Well, I mean, I think he was just drunk and this guy was maybe hassling him a bit, and the
video doesn't look very convincing.
Yeah, but if you're a public figure, I wouldn't know anything about that. But if you were, I imagine that you'd have to know how to behave in public, right?
Yeah, he was hammered though.
Look. Basic stuff, and this just seems to me. This is just. I mean, I know he's
two-tier. Come on, you want to say it.
Two-tier justice, and I know he's not currently a Labour MP, but he was, and I appreciate he also didn't decide what was going to happen to him. That's up to the judge. But it just speaks to this kind of clueless... It's not appropriate given, to me, as a reader, it's not appropriate given some of the other sentences I've seen.
No, I know. I mean, this is it. It's all over the scale. One person's getting 2 years.
Exactly.
One person's being let out after 3 days. It's just... I think people just want consistency.
That's true. But imagine if we'd seen Keir do that, we'd all actually think he was quite cool. Imagine just Keir just throwing, like, a couple of punches in the middle of the street. I don't think he should do it, but wouldn't that change your opinion of him? Wouldn't you think he's a bit of a bad...
It would change my opinion of him, but I don't think it would be cool, no. Right, let's go on to the next one. Friday's Telegraph, Jonathan, and Labour could face a by-election by May. Why would Theresa do that?
Oh, that's a lovely pun.
Yeah.
Very good.
Theresa May, right? OK, I got it.
Okay. Those writers need a pay rise. So Labour could face a by-election battle with reform as early as May. So after Mike Amesbury, the MP jailed for punching a man in the street, was released from prison. So basically, unless the 55-year-old resigns, he will face a recall petition in Runcorn and Helsby, where Reform came second in last year's general election. So it's a lot of numbers in this article, so feel free to tune out. But if 10% of his constituents vote against him, it will trigger a potentially perilous by-election for Keir Starmer, which will be his first major test of the ballot box since entering number 10.
Well, it's going to happen whatever, right? Because he is now being... It's definitely going to happen, because once you're convicted of a crime, there will be a new election, essentially. So
there's a petition, so doesn't that mean that the constituents
under the Recall Act of MPs, a recall petition will be triggered if it's...
But I think it's then up to the people who could vote for him. But surely at this point they're not going to vote for him. Surely, and we know that...
No, people think he's cool now. Josh was just saying if Keir Starmer did that,
they think Reform is cool. We know that because they previously Reform were coming second, and it's likely...
Well, by the way, let's talk about this. Second, let's talk about some more numbers. 14,000 majority. So even though they came second like only with 10% of the vote or something, or around that. So the swing that it would take for reform to win is gigantic.
Times have changed, though, since that election.
Well,
we've seen a lot of
only
swings.
7 or 8 months ago.
Yeah.
So, well, this is the question. It's going to put a lot of pressure on reform and on Nigel Farage because he would have. This is like all the polls have happened and everything's like we're going to be the next. But if they didn't do particularly well, if they didn't even come close, right, it would seem like well actually maybe there isn't this big groundswell.
Okay. So if it turns out that Mike Ainsbury is so loved by his constituents that this kind of somehow ends up acting in his favour.
No, I don't know. I mean, he's gone, but there will be a new Labour. And someone will be coming in
it's
to fight it for Labour.
He's currently independent, but they could still...
Basically, Labour will send in a new candidate.
I don't think
there'll be a Labour against... No, I don't think you...
It's quite...
No, I think
what I love about this is when he hit that guy, he could not have known how much trouble this was going to cause. Amazing.
Well, across the rod, yes. Sticking with the Telegraph press then, the French have decided to rock the boat.
Great. French lift ban on police stopping migrant boats at sea. So the current rules of the game are that...
Current.
Nice. The current rules are that the French police...
Carry on.
They're not allowed to interfere once the migrants are in the water. So if they've got a very narrow opportunity, and that's changing.
So those pesky smugglers have broken the system and found out that if you just go a few feet out to sea,
it's like the playground rule.
French police can't do anything.
But this is going to change. So Bruno Retailleau, I don't know if I'm saying that right, the French Interior Minister said on Thursday he's seeking to change this so that the law will allow migrants to be tackled out of boats in shallow water. Now, I assume that's not a metaphor. I think he means tackled out of boats. There's going to be some amazing TikTok videos, I think. This is not going to be dignified for either side. But it's kind of progress, isn't it?
Well, it's kind of progress. But there isn't. This doesn't happen or exist at the moment. That's a real problem. Who knows how long it's going to take to become law? And the other question, I think people are right to ask, we are giving them a chunk of money.
Yep.
And what is the French interest in catching these people, like beyond... Now, I was thinking about it, but maybe there could be an argument that if they were to successfully be able to stop people crossing at that point, then people wouldn't necessarily even come into France if they're...
I think you've nailed it. It's getting rid of the prize at the end, isn't it?
Yeah, but so we'll see if this happens or not. But again, it's just like, how has this continued for years under this...
And the other thing for the French is that the hardline right-wing French politicians are going to do well out of this if some action isn't taken. It's the same thing all the way across Europe, isn't it? People are getting concerned about this.
Yeah, it's becoming a big deal. Right, we're going to go to a little breaky break now. And, Jonathan, we're going to go to... oh, no, you know what? We've got enough time to do one... We've got one more story. Let's do it. Times, Jonathan. Hotels are full of troublemakers from undeveloped cultures. But enough about Newcastle away games. What's going on in this story?
Thousands of Newcastle complaints incoming, Josh. Those Newcastles don't... What are they called again? Not Scouse, the other one. Geordie. Migrant hotel numbers rise as asylum claims hit record high. So a total of 108,000 people applied for asylum in the UK in 2024, an 18% increase on last year's and higher than the previous record of 103,000 in 2002. So that is a lot of people applying. But there was also a significant drop in legal migration last year. But the number of visas granted to people moving to the UK to work or study has also been decreasing. So there's a lot of people applying who have come over in boats. Apparently, it's something like, I want to say 30,000. That was the number I remember. I'm not sure if that's true.
I think it's about 38.
Yeah.
38, fair enough. But yeah, I mean, it really does seem like these hotels have become... well, let's see how much...
Incredibly rich.
Well, exactly. They're private businesses getting essentially billions of pounds from the government. It's 4.5 million a day that's being spent on these migrant hotels. I think there's the number of migrants in hotels at its peak was 56,000, which was costing 8 million a day. So it's just endless money.
The point is, it's not working, Chris.
Well, they're trying to celebrate it as though it is sort of giving us well, this is a reduction on this and this is a reduction on that. The fact is, the net migration in 2023 was 900,000.
Yeah.
And they've recently managed to return... It took 6 months to return 1,053 small boats people.
Problem solved.
The bath is filling up a lot faster than it's emptying.
That's a very good analogy. I like that one, yes. So, now we're going to have a little break, but still to come up in the headline as we get an update on Luton's answer to the Chocolate Brothers and Peppa Pig. Well, we've done that one. So, this headline is only on GB News. We'll figure something else.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
Oh, no, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're
the failure is...
deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, for a frank and honest discussion with those in power that cuts through the spin and gets to the heart of the issues shaping our nation.
You haven't confirmed that you want to stand as leader, but you haven't ruled it out either.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial. Is he indecisive? Incompetent? I deliver the dose of reality Westminster needs. That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news, Will, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, and as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Headliners. Back into it with the Telegraph, Jonathan. And the Tates are going to Disneyland.
Seems so. Andrew Tate flees to Florida, but DeSantis says you're not welcome. So Andrew and Tristan Tate are, in quotes, not welcome in Florida, as Governor Ron DeSantis has said after the brothers flew to the state in a private jet from Romania, where they are under investigation for sex trafficking. So the Tate brothers have said they've yet to be convicted of any crime ever in their lives, which is true, yeah. I mean, yet is a bit of a winky word, isn't it? Yet. Yeah. Ron DeSantis said that Florida is not a place where you're welcome with that kind of conduct.
OK, the big thing here, Cresta, is how did they get out of Romania? They were given their passports back, and it seems like Trump, people close to Trump, and possibly even including Trump, are supporters of the Tates and have pressurised the Romanian government to let them go from these very serious charges.
Well, they are very serious charges, but at the same time, they've been under this kind of you can't go anywhere thing for 2.5 years, which I do find a bit odd and Kafkaesque. Why is it taking 2.5 years? Or is that how long things take?
To do a trial.
So, obviously, the implication is that Trump's not done a deal, but leaned on Romania and said, hey, let my boys come home.
Or at least, hit Trump's circle is what...
Well, yeah, OK, yes.
It's insane that that's become like a sort of cause célèbre for Trump, for the MAGA lot.
Yeah, I'm really divided on this. I don't know... I mean, I can see...
Because you used to work for them, right?
Well, we joke. Obviously, Tate is a very controversial figure, but I do sort of owe Andrew quite a lot because I actually met my wife-to-be through him. And she was the most beautiful woman in the entire shipping container.
I find it really odd that the idea is that 7 women, I'm not saying it didn't happen, but that they were in this compound and then were stopped from leaving to force them to work on webcams. There's a lot of people working on webcams. That's just a very odd story.
We don't know the specifics of that, but
no, we don't.
Yeah.
And why doesn't Trump send them here so that they can be... It's still going to be difficult. Any crimes of a sexual nature are an absolute nightmare. I understand that.
Well, this is it, because there's multiple accusations for people in the UK who want them to come here to go on trial. Would they be extradited from America? Well, that was the idea. They wanted to. Romania said to the UK, no, they have to go through our court system first. But now that they're in America, the reality of being able to extradite them from America...
I thought it's going to be harder than Romania.
Yeah, certainly if they've got the support of people in the American government.
I've got a lot of respect for Ron DeSantis for saying his piece on... I mean, I know he's kind of historically hasn't been Trump's best friend. What I always find so bizarre is that it gets separated out into all the crimes and the webcam stuff, and, like, that's not good either. You know, it's not good, and I wonder if Ron DeSantis means the whole package.
But I mean, some horrific videos have come out of him online, I've seen recently, and you're just like, wow, this is not good stuff here in terms of violence. I should say, I also saw a video just before the show, where he's saying now he wants to be Prime Minister, and it's obvious sort of trolling and stupidity and what he does, and means that we talk about him, but it is...
I refuse to repeat it.
Yes,
no, I
exactly,
don't know. Silly boy.
But it is ridiculous.
Silly boy. But it's the same old thing, isn't it? You've got to admit that he's having a lot of sway with young men. That tells us something about society, etc., etc. We've said it many times.
It's just whether young men and my kids, my elder kids, they treat it ironically. But then there is...
I think that's the right way. I mean, obviously, if he's committed crimes, that's appalling, but I don't find him convincing at all. I promise he's not attractive to straight women. He's just possibly attractive to 14-year-old boys who dream of sports cars. I think he's kind of...
about my kids.
Ridiculous.
Cressida, The Telegraph, and I thought trans women wanted to be recognised.
Nurses win battle to name trans colleague who was in their changing room. So this is Rose Henderson, a trans woman who's been denied anonymity after the judge rejects her argument that she risks being targeted online or potentially in person. Well, Rose has missed something ironic here, hasn't she? Because the whole point is that if we allow... And by the way, Rose doesn't have a gender recognition certificate, so...
This is a male, and it actually says later, responded... It does say in the article that far from being reduced to a state of fear and concern about his psychological or physical integrity. So the lawyer involved is very clear about calling him a male. Which
is what you'd expect from the other side. Fair enough. So the point I'm getting to is that I find this totally lacking in self-awareness. And it's more important than just this person, Rose. It's about what is allowed in general. We can't have loopholes where bad actors are going into women's changing rooms. And Rose doesn't seem to know that.
By the way, we're not calling... I hope no one would call for any level of abuse to this nurse. I don't agree that they should feel like they are entitled to be in female spaces, but that's not the same as wishing personal abuse in online, real life. But it seems like the fact is we live in an open justice system, so that holding that back is wrong.
Thing is, nurses in the changing room has always been my ultimate fantasy, so I'm feeling mixed feelings.
Possibly not this nurse.
Well, 2025. We'll be right back after a break.
OK, on to The Independent. I'm more angry about the Gene Hackman thing. On to The Independent now with the downside of pregnancy. Is it sharing your toys, Jonathan?
I'm not sharing my... Actually, no, that's too rude. OK, right. So, soaring numbers of women lose jobs while pregnant or on maternity leave, research suggests. This actually just happened to a very good friend of mine. She was on maternity leave, working for a company, doing really well at her job. This isn't a joke. Normally it's a joke when we do that, but she actually just lost her job, which is quite frustrating. But I think she's getting a year's worth of redundancy, so she's sort of smashed it. On top of maternity leave. Anyway, so research from Pregnant Then Screwed, that's the name of their charity, in partnership with Women in Data, estimated that potentially 74,000 women a year are fired or made redundant while pregnant or on maternity leave. So this seems to be a fairly common occurrence, unless they've made the numbers up, but they've estimated them, so that's kind of in between. So Pregnant and Screw founder has said that even before research was completed, it was clear the situation was only getting worse. She said it's very distressing that so many mothers are being pushed out of their work just for having children.
Well, we don't know it's for having children, because there's missing information here.
No, you've got to assume that they've done nothing wrong.
Your friend who recently lost her job with a massive redundancy package, she might be one of 10 people in an organisation of 20. I don't know how... I don't know that any of these people...
Should I say the company name?
No, I'm saying that this
so you don't know the exact reason why.
Doesn't give us the picture. And bear in mind, we're in a climate where we keep hearing about people losing their jobs. People are losing their jobs. Some of them will be pregnant people. And this woman is talking about her own pregnancy here. She says she didn't have a good time during her pregnancy. There were lots of problems with my manager scrutinising my appointments regarding my pregnancy, just making life hard work. That's her perspective, but what's the employer?
Well,
we just don't... It's not the whole story.
As you say, employers are being squeezed at the moment, certainly as we're seeing with national insurance going up. So they're going to be looking to cut anybody, and of course someone doing that. But then the other side of the argument goes is we need people. First of all, we need people to be working, but we also need mums. We need women to have children, and that needs to be encouraged. So someone has to step up, i.e. the government, to help companies to get through it, which there is support, and that already happens. But it obviously needs to be more if we're going to be able to encourage more people to have kids.
Look, I'm not saying it's bad. I think it's great that people can have choice nowadays, but it is one of the gifts that feminism has given us, isn't it? That it's a problem that people are split between needing money and wanting to breed. It didn't used to be like that.
No, it didn't used to be like that.
For better or worse, and it's not for me to say.
Well, I saw a 21-year-old female comedian on the open mic circuit saying she doesn't want kids because kids are rubbish, so presumably she's fine.
Yeah.
Sounds very meaningful and fulfilling.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, fine. OK, Guardian, Jonathan, and you better tell this well, or you'll be a NEET.
Al Jazeera have already offered me a job. So UK faces youth job crisis as number of NEETs rises to almost 1 million. So experts say the UK faces a youth job crisis after a rise in the number of young people not in education, employment or training, which is a NEET, to almost 1 million, which is the highest level in more than a decade. So a lot of this seems to be coming, at least according to this article, from the pandemic, where people learned that you don't have to do anything and you can just get money. And not only that, a lot of people have suffered mental health declines and addiction, all that kind of stuff. And so they're no longer either capable or looking for work.
It's a huge problem because this is our youth. This is 1 in 8 people. This is people not contributing into the system, costing more money, be more of a burden on social services, and we need them working. The government recognises this as an issue here. Whether they can actually make a difference, that's
I don't want to pass this over to Reeves and Starmer to sort out. I think... I don't know, tax breaks for businesses, that kind of thing.
And 64% of them, by the way, are men.
Well...
That's a big discrepancy.
A lot of women are losing their jobs for being pregnant, so couldn't the men take those?
No, but it's just so sad, isn't it? The women are trying to have a baby and go to work. The young men aren't going to work. Come on, guys. And there's no one in the army. It's so... I know that's not a solution.
Just put them all in the army.
I just think it's so sad. It's the state of young males, isn't it? They've been told en masse for years that they're rubbish, and they've kind of folded their arms and gone, fine. Plus COVID. I do appreciate that. Not good.
I would say the solution is calling them NEETs. I think it's such a horrible word. It's like I would just get a job just to not be called a NEET. Not in education, employment or training. NEET.
It sounds like someone's uncle made it up to be hip.
Yeah, exactly. Right, still to come, we find out exactly what it costs to be single, and we learn what gentle parenting is. This is Headliners, only on GB News.
Looking happy.
Well, the forecast looks good.
So you've sorted the travel insurance then?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Heavy outbreaks of rain affecting western parts of the Mediterranean and improving temperatures across Greece, where they have been below average over the last few days. So some heavy outbreaks of rain, some heavy showers affecting Madeira, also parts of Lisbon and parts of Gibraltar at times. As we move towards the central Mediterranean, largely settled, lots of dry weather and some sunny spells. And although temperatures are improving across Greece, there are going to be some heavy showers at times, largely dry and settled into the weekend, with the best of the temperatures across Tenerife.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Hello again and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Clear spells will develop widely overnight, leading to a frost for many of us first thing Friday. But Friday is looking like a dry and bright day with a ridge of high pressure in control across the country. This low that has been responsible for some cloud and showers earlier, well, that's moving away. So widely clear spells developing, just a few showers continuing for the north and west of Scotland. Perhaps the odd shower for Northern Ireland. Otherwise, it's clear skies, temperatures falling, a few mist patches forming in one or two spots. But for the vast majority, it's a clear, albeit frosty start to Friday. Temperatures in some spots down as low as -5 degrees. Despite the frost, though, it's a sunny start to the day. Certainly plenty of blue skies across England and Wales first thing, away from any mist patches, those most likely through parts of the Midlands into northwest England. They're not going to last long, though. Where they do form, they'll be disappearing by about 8 or 9 a.m. Across Scotland and Northern Ireland, a bit more cloud about, particularly for central and western Scotland, 1 or 2 showers. Showers also for Shetland. A brisk breeze blowing in the far northwest. That will keep the frost at bay first thing, but it's going to be a fine day wherever you are. Certainly through the morning, plenty of sunshine. I think fair weather cloud will build into the afternoon. And the odd shower still possible in 1 or 2 spots, but for the vast majority it's dry, it's bright, sunny spells, light winds, feeling very pleasant, 9 or 10 Celsius. In the far northwest, the wind will pick up, the cloud will gather, and that's just ahead of this weather system that's going to bring some outbreaks of rain into Scotland and Northern Ireland first thing Saturday. It will tend to sink south and weaken, bringing a zone of cloudier skies into northern England and parts of Wales by the afternoon, brighter skies following. And really, it's a similar theme for the rest of the weekend. Weak weather fronts bringing some cloud and some rain, but for most, it's going to stay dry and bright.
If you want your news to be straight talking, this is a nightmare for the Conservatives again. Down to earth. It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it? And most importantly, honest. Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them. They catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Headliners. Jumping back into Friday's Telegraph tester with the cost of being single.
Revealed the cost of being chronically single.
Yeah.
So somebody's done some research and being single costs more than... Well, you can halve your bills, can't you, if you live in the same place as somebody?
This is... Sorry, carry on.
Go on.
This is written by a woman because dating a woman is expensive. You've got to pay for apology flowers. You've got to pay for dinner, even though you put it on the spreadsheet afterwards and charge them half. It's way more expensive.
Well...
You've got to buy zircon, pretend it's a diamond. It is a costly endeavour.
It's the only reason to hook up with somebody just to someone to share the rent with, basically.
I don't think it's the only reason, but it's getting... This article's giving it a lot of weight.
This lady doesn't like buying her own drinks. That's what it's come down to.
The lady who wrote that... Well, so apparently 3/4 of people in a couple own a home, and only 47% of singles do. It's pretty...
And it's going to get worse, because, of course, it's so much harder to even get on the ladder, being single.
Yeah, I agree.
You've been through it, right?
I have been through it, and
I'm not saying you're single.
No, I'm one of the... I managed it.
Am I allowed to reveal that you're single?
I think
as of today.
Can I reveal your address?
I think, don't give Lewis ideas. He would reveal my address. But the point is, I've got an address, so that's good, isn't it? And I only had to live on a boat without a fridge for 6 years to get there.
And get a job.
And get a job here. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, of course it's harder on your own. But what she doesn't talk about is the fact that you... I thought that you know, can choose your own TV channels, You can come home at 1 o'clock in the morning. Nobody cares. It's fine.
Oh, that's the positive side of it.
Depends how you look at it. I don't know. Jonathan, you're into bill sharing.
I'm into bill sharing. Look, if I can share any bill, I'll share the building's internet if I have to. Just give me the password. We'll all chip in.
I mean, yes, you save money by being a couple, but they don't. But they sort of allude to this bit by the end of it, where if sometimes couples have children, and that's where things get costly. As here, 6 each child, supposedly £230,000. 230, that's like £1 million I've got to spend on kids. I don't have £1 million. I don't have any quid.
Well, no, that's part of the reason why, isn't it? But also, you wouldn't have children if... Some people have children on their own, and that must be very, very difficult and very, very expensive.
Well, that's a whole different issue, which we'll be covering on next week's show.
But I bet it's cheaper to have... like, if you've got a bunch of kids, it's cheaper per child. I'm probably down to, like, lifetime of sort of maybe £2,000 for the 5th kid, just in terms of, like, all the hand-me-downs, all the toys.
Well, you've got so many that you're beginning to get childcare from the top tier.
Exactly, yeah. That's it. Genius. Worked it all out. OK, on to the Independent, Jonathan. And climate change can make you look older. Maybe you'll finally be able to buy a scratch card.
Well, Papa needs a new pair of Nintendo Switch controllers. So, how extreme heat from climate change could make us all 2 years older. Apparently, prolonged exposure to extreme heat can make you biologically older, a new study has said. That actually makes sense. You know when you, like, if you put food in a refrigerator, it kind of lasts longer, less damage. Like, I actually, this is a case, I froze my sperm. And basically, my mum said that I needed to buy a new ice tray, which I thought was very expensive. So scientists at the University of Southern California have analysed blood samples from 37,000 people, and it turns out that if you spend a lot of time in the sun, in extreme heat, your epigenetic clock, which is basically how your cells...
Your DNA and all that.
All that stuff, like in my mum's fridge, basically it ages quicker, you get older quicker. But now they're trying to say it's due to climate change. It's not. It's to do with spending time in a hot environment. So they try to shoehorn that in.
Yeah, well, Krista, my dad lived in Australia.
I was just thinking about Australia.
Yeah, but knowing a lot of Australians, they do seem to age a little bit quicker.
Well, when I lived in Australia, they would regularly say, oh, yeah, I'm going to go and get some skin cancers taken off. Really casual, because they're in the sun so much. Of course, nowadays, they're very into covering up and having all the sun cream and stuff, but some of these were older people who'd lived...
Yeah, but you meet like a 40-year-old and you think they're 60.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I was 19 years young.
Yeah. So that's the thing. So I guess with climate change, if you believe in climate change,
which I
do.
Scraping the barrel, though, isn't it? Oh, you better not drive your car because you'll look old eventually.
Well, last year was the hottest year in history. But so maybe that's a positive. We're all going to age, and then it's all over anyway. Right, let's move on to the Times, Cresta, with a story about gentle parenting, or as I call it, always being at work.
Nice. Is gentle parenting ruining our kids? So this is the Times referring to someone I really admire, Catherine Birbalsingh, as the self-styled dragon lady.
Yeah.
She doesn't call herself that, does she?
Yeah, I think she does. She's a big fan of all the Chinese...
commas.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, we know what Catherine Birbalsingh likes. She likes discipline and...
But this is all about her as a mum, taking those same lessons from her school and bringing them into home.
Well, which is what you'd expect, isn't it? And she's got this idea that modern parenting books infantilise parents, which is interesting, isn't it? She's not talking about the kids, talking about the parents.
Yeah.
And says you need to go back to the 1960s to find...
I'm a big fan of that. Strict. Right, show is nearly over. Let's take another quick look at Friday's front pages. The Daily Mail, what an unlikely romance. The Daily Express, Trump backs great trade deal for Brexit Britain. The Telegraph, Trump backs Starmer on Chagos. The Guardian, Trump, US workers in Ukraine would be a security backstop. The Metro, mystery of Hackman deaths. And the Star, Peppa Piglet, Mummy Pig preggers, and the scan proves it. That's all we have time for. Thank you to my guests.
Thank you.
Krista Wetton and Jonathan.
I've got a gig on
back
the 6th.
tomorrow, and if you're watching at 5 a.m, stay tuned for breakfast. Have a great day.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello again and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Clear spells will develop widely overnight, leading to a frost for many of us first thing Friday. But Friday It's looking like a dry and bright day with a ridge of high pressure in control across the country. This low that has been responsible for some cloud and showers earlier, well, that's moving away, so widely clear spells developing. Just a few showers continuing for the north and west of Scotland. Perhaps the odd shower for Northern Ireland. Otherwise, it's clear skies, temperatures falling, a few mist patches forming in one or two spots. But for the vast majority, it's a clear, albeit frosty start to Friday. Temperatures in some spots down as low as -5 degrees. Despite the frost, though, it's a sunny start to the day. Certainly plenty of blue skies across England and Wales first thing, away from any mist patches, those most likely through parts of the Midlands into northwest England. They're not going to last long, though. Where they do form, they'll be disappearing by about 8 or 9 a.m. Across Scotland and Northern Ireland, a bit more cloud about, particularly for central and western Scotland, 1 or 2 showers. Showers also for Shetland. A brisk breeze blowing in the far northwest. That will keep the frost at bay first thing, but it's going to be a fine day wherever you are. Certainly through the morning, plenty of sunshine. I think fair weather cloud will build into the afternoon. And the odd shower still possible in 1 or 2 spots, but for the vast majority it's dry, it's bright, sunny spells, light winds, feeling very pleasant, 9 or 10 Celsius. In the far northwest, the wind will pick up, the cloud will gather, and that's just ahead of this weather system that's going to bring some outbreaks of rain into Scotland and Northern Ireland first thing Saturday. It will tend to sink south and weaken, bringing a zone of cloudier skies into northern England and parts of Wales by the afternoon, brighter skies following. And really, it's a similar theme for the rest of the weekend. Weak weather fronts bringing some cloud and some rain, but for most, it's going to stay dry and bright.
We can expect clear skies, leading to a light and warm day ahead. Lovely. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
There's just 2 weeks left to grab your chance to be one of 2 big winners in our latest Great British giveaway. First, you'll win a totally tax-free £10,000 in cash to spend however you like. You'll also receive the very latest iPhone 16, and we'll send you on a shopping spree with £500 to spend in your favourite store. For another chance to win, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. Call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB11 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 7th of March. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little